Hey everyone, welcome back to Boost Your Income with Bootstrap to WordPress. This lecture is called Code the Individual Blog Excerpts. All right, now what we're going to do is clean up this excerpt section of our blog. And so basically the excerpt section is basically the blog overview. When you hit the blog page up here and you get taken to this page, you get an overview of all the posts with the excerpts rather than the full post view. So if we had 5 blog posts, you'd see 5 small excerpts here, and it would kind of look like this, what we have in our static site. You got the excerpts. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to make the excerpt section look more like the design here in the static site. And right now you can see it's pretty plain, but you can see similarities, and we can make that look much better like this. Quite easy. So head to your code editor and open up the content.php template. The content.php template is basically the blog overview, and it looks like this. In WordPress, sometimes if you haven't used WordPress before and you haven't developed a WordPress site, you can get a little confused with how the templates work and which one is which. You have all these different content templates like content single, and you have the index page, and you have page.php, things like that. You can get a little confusing. And so the way that I found out when I first started out, which page I want to edit the excerpt section, how do I know which template that is? Well, I went through and I would select everything and I'd cut everything out of the page and then save it. So the template is empty. And then when I refreshed the page to see if the page turned out empty, then I knew, hey, this is the template I need to work with. So content.php, there's nothing here. So I know, hey, content.php is in fact what I need to be working with. So put that back there, and we're going to go ahead and fix this up. And luckily, what's here, we're going to be recycling a lot of it, but it's going to be quite simple to get what we need. So we're just going to go through from top to bottom and trim out what we don't need and replace the parts that we need to change to make it look like the design. So up here at the top, basically right here in the header tag, we're going to start out by changing here in the title. This is going to be a level 3 heading, not a level 1 heading. That's how we have it in our site. The rest of it in here is fine. And down here, in between the if post is equal to get post type if statement right here, we're going to remove the entry meta and replace that with our own content. So remove entry meta altogether. And in here, let's start off by, well, actually, we can go to our blog.html static page and copy the markup for that. And that is just right here. Post details. So grab post details, copy it, and paste it in here. Make sure that's lined up properly so you can see it better. And we're just going to go through and make this dynamic. And it's quite simple. So right here we have the user. We want this to be the actual author of the post. Do that like this. It's a WordPress function, the author. That's great. And then in here, time, well, PHP, WordPress function called the date, and that is the date, the published date of the post itself. And in here, remove all the A tags. We need to list out the categories separated by comma. You do that pretty easily just by going PHP WordPress function is the category. And you can see here actually, Coda gives me, let me do that again. Coda gives me all the parameters or the arguments of this function. So separator, parents, and post ID. They're all optional. However, separator is the one that we want to use. Separator means how do you want to separate the categories if there's more than one? Do you want a comma, a pipe, space, dash, things like that? So I'm going to remove all of this here, and I'm just going to, in a string, put a comma and a space, and then close that string. That is the separator. That's the first argument of that, or parameter of that function. And so that should do that. Now tags is pretty much the same thing. I'm going to remove the tags here and go PHP, and this will be the tags. And then this, the parameters of this function is a little bit different. Before is the text or whatever you want to appear before the tags. Separator is how you want to separate the tags. So the default is a comma, but you can put one in there or something different if you'd like. And after is text you'd like to appear after. Before and after are optional. They don't display anything by default, so you don't have to worry about those. But how you need to display it if you want to have the comma or something specific, you need to do a open and close strings, comma, and then here is where you want to do your separator. So open string, comma, space, close the string, and then go ahead and do the same thing for the last comma, and then close those strings. Now, if you wanted to just leave it as the tags, that should do it just fine, and separate them by comma. Down here we have the post comments badge. What we need to do here is put that badge up there with the number of comments. And so it's pretty straightforward. For the number, you just need to say PHP comments number. That is a WordPress function. And here, let me show you the arguments here, or the parameters of this function. You need to have 0, 1, and more. Basically, that means what do you want to display if there are 0 comments, what do you want to display if there are 1, and what do you want to display if there are more than 1. Basically, this means if you don't do anything here, the default WordPress parameters here are no comments is what 0 would be. 1 would be 1 comment, and the rest are 30 comments or whatever. But in our comments bubble or comments badge, we just want the number, no text, nothing that says 0 comments or no comments or whatever, because that's going to break the layout. We want it to actually just be just straight up numbers. So this will be 0, comma, 1, and then in a string, the %sign, which will basically just pass in whatever the number of comments there will be. And then make sure to do semicolon and close that PHP script. Straightforward, super easy. Now I want to give the option for people who are logged in, aka you or your client, the ability to hit edit right up here in the post details. I wanted to make it easy, and you could do that. You can add a little front end section. So I'm just going to add a div to give a block level element here. PHP edit post link, and that will give us the ability to hit edit, and it will take us to the actual post to edit in the editor. But if I just say edit post link and leave it as is, it's going to have its own default text, and we want to be able to I want to add an icon that is a little pencil, and I can just put the icon before here, but it won't be included in the link. So if I want to include it in the link, then I need to do something like this. The first parameter of the edit post link is the text you want to display instead of the default, which is edit or edit post or whatever. But if you want to have your own text, the first parameter is what you wanted to say. So I just wanted to say edit. And then comma, there's a second parameter and a third parameter. The second and third are what do you want to display before the link and what do you want to display after. You could use this to wrap it in. I could have not put this div here and just put, and that would probably actually be better actually. I'm going to go like this, because if you're not logged in, then I don't want to just have a div tag that's empty and sitting there. So you'd go like this, and then that, there you go. And that would put the edit post link in a div, but I want to be able to have that icon, a pencil icon. And so all I would do is just here, have the tag, and then have a class with fa-pencil. That'll give me pencil, close that string, save that, and then now that should give us the edit post link. Great. Now if I scroll down to the entry content down here, we're just going to remove all of this because we don't need the footer and everything. Leave the article, the closing article tag, but we're going to put our own content here. Go back to blog.html, the static version you had, and grab post image and also post excerpt. And then we're going to make this dynamic. Paste it down here, line that up. And then we're going to start with the post image. Post image is pretty straightforward. We're just going to grab the WordPress function, the post thumbnail, thumbnail, and there it is. But some posts don't have thumbnails, so we need to double check to see if there's even one uploaded. Pretty straightforward. Just an if statement here that says if has post thumbnail. Great. And that means if they have a post thumbnail, this is going to check for feature image, and then that will spit this out. Make sure to close that PHP bracket, and then there you go. If there's a post thumbnail, great. Otherwise, this doesn't even exist. Perfect. So then in post excerpt, all you really need to do is just use PHP the excerpt, another built-in WordPress function. There are no parameters to this function, and so the unfortunate thing about this is if we go to our excerpt here and hit refresh, you can see all it does is add square brackets and an ellipses. That doesn't do very good for us. There's bad user experience, and you can't really go in to view the post unless you clicked on this, of course, the title. You can see right here, the rest of it, before we get into the excerpt, that everything looks good. We have our username here, and this can be changed by yourself, the user. So when you go to your user tab in the dashboard, you can change it to your name, your first name, full name, nickname, so on and so forth. Right now, the default is the username. The date published, categories separated by comma, tag separated by comma, the edit link right here. And that will take you to edit the posts. And I have a really long lorem ipsum post here. The only thing here is that the excerpt is not really, you can't really link through. The way to fix that is in your functions.php, you need to just scroll down to the bottom and add a new function here because the excerpt doesn't have any additional parameters. And a quick Google search let me find out how to change the text of the excerpt and how to link to the post. And really, I'll show you right here. Pasted it at the bottom. So this right here, function, new excerpt more. This is creating a new function. Or actually, this is actually a built-in function and it's just updating the filters and the parameters of this function. So let's check it out here. So we got global post. You want to be able to grab that. Return, and then in a string, type this out. This is putting an ellipses at the end, or 3 periods, 3 dots, and then a space. And then we have our A tag. And in here we have a series of info. So we have class, more tag in case you wanted to style it. href, we have our opening double quote and then single quote so we could concatenate the get permalink post ID. So that's going to get the permalink of that specific post. Concatenate, make sure you close that up. Make sure you're back in here in the string, the original string. Space, continue reading, a lowercase, and then RA quo. Close the A tag, and then that's it. And then all you need to do is add filter, excerpt more is the first parameter, and then new excerpt more. So this is just basically adding the new excerpt more function to the original excerpt more built-in WordPress function so that when we hit refresh, we don't even have to do anything on the original page here. The excerpt will now always display like this. So that will take us to, here we go. And obviously this doesn't look very good because we haven't styled this up yet, and we haven't not styled it, programmed it in PHP yet, in WordPress. But let's go in and edit this post and add a feature image so that we could see if it worked in our excerpt. So feature image, I'm just going to set this. I have my default feature image in my assets here, and I'm going to set that featured image, update. I'm going to go back to the website and hit blog so I could go to the blog excerpt page. And okay, so it's there, but you can see there's a problem. The height, there's an issue here. The height seems to be, going wonky. And the way to fix that is to head to your CSS for the theme and scroll down to your blog section here in the CSS. And down after post image, we need to make sure that the post image is auto, is height auto. And I can see here that we've maybe, I made you do a typo, and this should have actually been post image space image and then height auto to make sure to force those images to be height auto, not a fixed height, which WordPress tags on to those image tags. Refresh this. That should solve all of our problems. There we go, and that looks beautiful. So there we go. That is the post excerpt section. Let's just make sure that we're good here. If I add a new post to see if the styles are also reflected in that and that there's good margins in between. Another test post. Let's get some lorem ipsum in there. And let's skip out on the feature image. Let's add some tags. Fake post. Coding. Tut. And let's say uncategorized, and we're going to go ahead and publish that. And there we go. It's at the top. We got good space in between. Looks like our styles have made it. Our edit links here on a new line. If you don't want it in a new line, you can remove those divs. So if I'm going to go back here just to jump back into my content.php, let's remove those divs there like so. I'm going to save that. And now our edit link should be on the same line unless it drops down to a second line because the first line is too long. And actually, I prefer that. So I'm going to leave it like so. And that looks good. And just to make sure you see how this works, we have our comment badge. If I click that, what should theoretically happen is it should take me to the comments section on the blog post. And it doesn't seem to do that. And that's because in our content.php, we didn't actually specify where that's going to link to. We just put an empty link. So good thing we checked that out before we closed up the lecture. All you got to do here is in your href is go PHP. Super easy. Wait for it. Comments link. There it is. Save that. Now if you go back and refresh this overview page, if you hover over this, you can see another test post /# or pound comments. And that will take you to the anchor, the ID comments on the post itself. It'll scroll down right down to the comments. So perfect. There it is. And in the next lecture, we're going to be cleaning up and coding this page. This is the full blog post page. It's pretty simple, straightforward. We already did most of the work in the previous one, just a lot of copying and pasting. And yeah, I'll see you there.